authorities arresting 11 suspects. Hundreds of
Morning, everybody.
people gathering outside the concert hall Saturday night to mourn the victims, lighting candles and leaving teddy bears and other stuffed animals and notes at the scene. New data from Customs and Border Patrol shows a record 190,000 encounters with illegal aliens crossing in February. Immigration topped the list of issues facing voters come November. Customs and Border Patrol say 70 people on the FBI terror watch list have been caught trying to cross into our country so far this fiscal year, with mass amounts of drugs, $25 million worth of 300 pounds of fentanyl seized. Not one ticket hit the huge Mega Millions jackpot Friday night, so this Tuesday night the lottery soars to $1.1 billion. 5 tickets, which hit all 5 numbers, but not the Mega Ball, are worth $1 million each. Those tickets hitting in California, Florida, Illinois, Nebraska, and Texas. And the numbers to check for smaller Mega Millions prizes: 3, 8, 31, 35, 44, and Mega Ball number 16. And I'm Laura Winters, USA News.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers you've ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection Flight for just $79.99. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code TREAT at checkout to get an extra $20 on your order, plus free shipping. You'll get 4 of each pure ground burger, so you can sample all the steak on a bun greatness. These burgers are crafted for a juicier, more tender experience, making your mouth water with every single bite. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use promo code TREAT at checkout and get $20 off the Burger Perfection Flight to discover your new burger obsession. More may be required.
Former President Trump taking his social media platform Truth Social public next week, and he stands to make a lot of money, USA's John Schaefer reports.
The social media company founded by former President Trump is set to become publicly traded through a merger. Shareholders of Middleboro Acquisition Corporation granted approval on Friday for the merger with Trump.
Oh, wow. Official.
Yeah.
Jeez, man, this is awesome.
Trump's ownership in the new company
Yeah,
is around
It's different.
$1 billion.
Especially if you never experienced it before, it's
No.
different.
Meanwhile, Trump facing a Monday deadline to come up with almost $500 million in order to appeal his civil court judgment. New York Attorney General, Democrat Letitia James, is preparing to seize some of Trump's Westchester County, New York properties, including one of
I'm trying to stay away from Trump.
The owner isn't a big fan.
Faces a Monday deadline to pay a $464 million
But the whole thing is,
civil fraud case.
You don't have the Facebook on, do you?
It's on, yeah.
It's on right now?
It's on.
The Trump
You running it?
Yes, it's running.
And his 2 older sons in Westchester County, which signals
We got a
Trump
Facebook
National Golf
thing
Club
on, too.
and the 7
Oh, really?
Yeah, see it over there on the
may be
chip?
at risk of being seized.
Oh, yeah.
Trump's lawyers say they can't find an underwriter willing to take on the entire amount.
USA News.
This is incredible.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've never been on the radio.
Okay. There we go. Alright.
Provide a warm meal.
She's gonna call us back. Yes.
Sounds like we caught her off guard.
Okay. No biggie. No biggie, no biggie.
Many members continue to serve in our armed forces, with several serving in combat areas now. We sponsor and/or participate in many motorcycle-related charity events each year. And as a nonprofit organization, donate to various veteran care facilities and veteran charities. To learn more
Yellow
about
light.
the Veteran Motorcycle Association and
Your
how
red
you
light,
can join
that goes
or
up.
support, please visit
Blue light, that goes up.
cvma2-2.org.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVDF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio.
You know his last name, right?
Dr. Edward Fisher.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eddie.
Thank you very much, man.
Eddie's a real name. Where's Eddie? Eddie's a...
Hey, Joey, what's happening? I
And good morning and welcome to Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll. I am joined by Don this morning, as always. Don, good morning.
Good morning.
And we're joined by one of two special guests that we're going to have on the show today. Joining us live in the studio is Dr. Edward Fischero. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
How you doing, Ed?
Doing well today, thank you.
Fast Eddie in the studio. I love it. I love it.
We'll also be joined by State Representative Carol Doherty in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for that as well. But let's do our weather before we get into the meat of the program today. We have our weather in Middleboro: cloudy skies, 30 degrees, a high of 42 today. Cloudy throughout the week. You're not going to really see the sun too much until next weekend. You might have a couple of 50-degree days, which is going to be nice. 58 on Wednesday, but not a lot of sun. Some rain also possible this week. And that might be Carol right now. Let's say good morning to Carol Doherty. Good morning, Carol.
Well, good morning, Joey. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, with no rain coming down at the moment. Oh, one thing.
We are joined here in the studio, Carol, by my co-host, Don.
Good morning, Carol. You know me, right?
Morning, of course. How are you?
Good. How you doing? Good morning to you. Happy Sunday.
Good.
We're also joined by another guest, Dr. Edward Fischero from Brockton.
Hi, Carol.
So we have two people in studio.
Yes.
One on the phone. You're a busy person.
Yes, and before we get to some of the questions I want to ask you and ask Ed, and Don, I'm sure, wants to ask some questions. I'm just going to do some weather here. Taunton, 29 degrees, cloudy skies, a high of 43 today. Again, same weather in Taunton that it is in Middleboro. Cloudy throughout the week, not a lot of sun. Saturday and Sunday next week, though, the sun does return. It will be a beautiful weekend next weekend. Driscoll, North Dakota, 21 degrees, cloudy skies, a low of 16 tonight, a low of 8 tomorrow night. So we're still very cold. On Tuesday, the low is just 1 degree above.
In Driscoll, North Dakota.
In Driscoll, North Dakota. So very, very cold still in Driscoll, North Dakota. But in Driscoll, Texas, it's the opposite. 65 degrees, sunny, a high of 81 today, a high of 87 tomorrow, and then pretty sunny throughout the rest of the week in Driscoll, Texas. Our today in history: 1765, Great Britain passes the Quartering Act, which requires the 13 colonies to house British troops. March 24th, 1900, Mayor of New York City, Robert Anderson Van Wyck, breaks ground for a new underground rapid transit railroad, which would link Manhattan to Brooklyn. 124 years later, I think that's doing pretty good, Don.
Yeah, they got a few stations and a few miles of track. Yes, they do.
2019, Jakarta MRT, a rapid transit system in Jakarta, began operation. Our birthdays today: 1725, Thomas Cushing, American lawyer and politician, the first lieutenant governor of Massachusetts. 1755, Rufus King, an American lawyer and politician, and also a U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. 1828, Horace Gray, an American lawyer and jurist. He served on the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, and then also he was a Supreme Court Justice in the United States as well. Born in Boston, Massachusetts, passed away in 1902 in Nahant, Massachusetts. 1902, Thomas E. Dewey, American lawyer and politician, the 47th governor of New York. 1930, Steve McQueen, American actor and producer.
Bullet.
Yes. 1965, The Undertaker, American wrestler and actor. 1976, Peyton Manning, American football player and entrepreneur. Our passings today: 1950, James Rudolph Garfield, American lawyer and politician, the 23rd United States Secretary of the Interior. He is the son of President James A. Garfield and First Lady Lucretia Garfield. And in 1951, Lorna Hodgkinson, Australian educator and educational psychologist. She was the first woman to receive a Doctor of Education degree from Harvard University. And Carol, you were on the Taunton School Committee. Let's start with that.
So your question is, so I was on the Taunton School.
You were. Let's start with.
For 10 years.
Yeah. Tell us some of your favorite moments about being on the school committee and helping the students of Taunton during those years.
Well, yes, I can answer that question. I am currently state representative, and in the second year of my second term, and I'm a little bit more, 6 months, so it's been 2 terms in 6 months. I was elected to the State House in the middle of Sean O'Connell's term when she decided to leave the State House and run for mayor. So my transition from the school board to the State House happened after 10 years of serving the children and families in the city of Taunton. I decided to do that because I was an educator for many, many years, president of the Massachusetts Teachers Association, doing a lot of work there, obviously on behalf of children and families, to improve their quality of education and their quality of life as they grew up and go on. I have an opportunity to meet students because I taught for many years as well. I still meet students. I might be standing in a line at the supermarket and some adult will come up to me and say, I think you were my 3rd grade teacher. So it's been a very interesting trajectory from classroom teacher to guidance counselor to directing professional development at Northeastern University for 18 years there in the School of Education to the school committee, and then from there, when the seat became available, to the State House. So it's all been a career in focusing on community and focusing on quality of life issues, in trying my best as a single individual to improve the way in which we think about schools and education and other things as well as a state representative.
One thing about school teachers is you always remember them, Carol. It's I have fond memories of my school teachers, and especially in high schools. I have a friend of mine who was a culinary arts teacher at the Quincy Tech for years, and he's actually one of my best friends, and he's taught me so much in that aspect. But I remember some of the teachers, you didn't want to let them down. I mean, they just care for you so much. It's like your doctor. You don't want to let him down. He tells you to do something, and you don't want to let him down. And it was important that these teachers, they really shaped my life, in opinion, and I thought they kind of shaped me into the person I am. And I think a lot of the teachers who did that, I'm sure people walking up to you and said, I had you, it must be a great feeling because they see you, and then a big smile comes to their face because they remember you helped them out.
Well, and when you think about that, what you said, you don't want to let the teacher down as your life goes on because they have a great influence.
Right.
We, as educators, have to remember that as well. So a kind word, a nice thought, a positive gesture toward a child as a classroom teacher goes a long way because you might not think in the moment that it matters, but it does matter. When I bump into students now who are adults who have children the age or older when I knew them as children, for them to remember something fondly is so important. Rather than saying, you were that awful classroom teacher that I had. I wish I had never been in your 3rd grade. So it's clearly a very important profession, and sometimes in some places undervalued. But here you are. Here I a result of somebody who encouraged us to do something important and valuable in our lives.
You know what? It's funny too, because I was talking to our guest Ed over here, and he went to PCI in the morning, and he told me he had to get up like at 5 in the morning because he lived in Brockton and he had to get all the way to Dorchester. Ed, any teachers that really?
Oh, sure.
That
teachers were formative in my life. Absolutely. They were my role models. I still to this day look back at my teachers. I agree 100%. Teachers are formative. They not only help you aspire to be your best, but they're good moral characters to look towards. Good role models. Right. Absolutely, teachers mold who you are, and it's very. I don't think they realize. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Carol, but I wonder if teachers realize how powerful their job is.
Well, and when you're having a good day and you're trying to teach a concept to a young child, and you can see the light in that child's eyes as they get the concept and they're able to grasp it and hang on to it. It is one of those moments when you say, "Yeah, this is really important. It's worth the time." And then there are those days when you just can't get it together. The kids are unruly. It's hard to control the classroom. There are children that you worry about their well-being, worry about what life is like at home. So it is a constant vigilance to the well-being of the children, whether they're eating their lunch or learning a new concept or doing something positive at your hands in your presence with your help as a classroom teacher.
I looked up to one of my teachers, Carol. His name was Mr. Carney. He was an English teacher, Quincy High. I went to Quincy High, Quincy Tech, and he it was funny because he was in Vietnam. He talked about his service, and he was and it was almost like a history lesson too. And he says, well, okay, he says, I want you all to do a 10-page report. It has to be 10 pages, and it can't be about the Vietnam War, because we talk about it. It has to be something else. So I was like, okay. So I did it on the French Vietnam War. He looks at me. He says, I guess you didn't do it on the American one, and I got an A+ on it. You know what I mean? Because he was really impressed that I went and researched that on my own, because we didn't talk about that side. We talked about. So he was really impressed with me, and that's why I got an A+. It was an A+. First, so I was really excited. It's something I remember and I talk about all the time. I talk about the Joey, and I got A+ in Connie's class. It was great. So, but I mean,
that report. Bring that A+.
I wish I had it. I don't even know where it went. You know what I mean? I'd go back to Quincy High and see if they have it.
So another thing I wanted to talk about today, as we're heading into spring now. What are some things? Some really good things that are coming up in the city of Taunton that you might want to mention here for the spring? Any big events coming up?
Oh, well, I was last night. The mayor had her inaugural. I guess it's an inaugural ball, although she's been inaugurated since January into her third term as the city's mayor, and it was quite an event, I have to say. It was held at Gillette Stadium. There must have been 500+ people there, all to celebrate the well-being of the community. Just take a look around you. Because we complain about the potholes, and the missing street lights. And maybe I want a sidewalk down Cohannet Street to the boulevard from where I live. But in the overall, the city is prospering. It's in good financial health. So it was a really wonderful opportunity to celebrate our city of Taunton. So let me see what's coming up. So I thought of the mayor's ball last night as a launching of springtime. So, you know, who knows what will happen? We here, with A.J. Marshall heading up our park and rec, the parks, the plans for the renovation and the revitalization of Memorial Park, for example, is something to celebrate. You know where Memorial Park is, Ed and Don and Joey.
Yeah. Yep.
Over there. Yeah, over there on Somerset Avenue. It's a beautiful park that was left on its own for a while, and so there has been a lot of attention and some resources brought from the federal government and from the mayor's office and from the state as well to help to revitalize that park. And so there are wonderful plans for new walkways and lighting and the pond that's there to revitalize the pond, maybe have a winter skating pond there as well. And so plantings and trees and all of those wonderful things that come with wanting to have a wonderful, just a recreational facility where you can go and sit on a bench under a tree and read a book if that's what you choose to do. So, and that will be ongoing. And if you drive down to the Ware section of Taunton along the river where that old bandstand was, across from what was it, Bitsy Travis's bar down there, and down the street from the River House, if you go past that location, it's fenced off now, but there is a new walkway being put there and a bandstand, and I'm sure new grasses planted there, so it'll be a wonderful place to walk along our wonderful Taunton River. And the federal government, thanks to our congressman, has gotten a grant of $1 million to repair the Ware Bridge, which is in much need of repair. So that's going to enhance that area. So we're moving right along as a community. As for events, what do we look forward to in the spring? This is the upcoming 250th, as I understand it, anniversary of the Liberty and Union flag. And so the Old Colony History Museum is planning events around that Liberty and Union flag. And so there's that, which we have to look forward to. Juneteenth is coming up as a celebration of Black excellence in the community on the 19th of June, so we have that to look forward to. There's always something going on that is sponsored by or planned by the Downtown Taunton Foundation. Colleen Simmons and Eileen Kelleher heading that organization up. So there's the Portuguese Day coming up in June as well. So a lot of stuff happening. Pay attention, a lot of things to participate in.
And there's some great, like you said, there's some construction going on around the city. Another thing that comes to mind is the construction that's going on from 99 Restaurant to here at the station. When that's done, that's gonna definitely be beneficial.
You know what they did a good job on, Carol, is over the Ware they did that boat ramp in the park. Last year, a friend of mine had a boat, and I said, "Come on down to Taunton, and we'll put it down there." And I was able to, we were able to boat the Taunton River all the way out to Battleship Cove and back. Actually, we went to Providence, to be honest with you, that day. But it was really nice. The Taunton River is so beautiful. He was able to do a little fishing, and it's really nice. And I think that a lot of people should take advantage of the Taunton River, especially that part. And plus, the rest of the Taunton River, that's canoeable. But that Ware section, really, they did a really good job, especially on that boat ramp in that park there. I really thought they did a great job.
Well, I hope that so you're able to boat from the boat ramp south toward Fall River, as you point out, and I have kayaks going north. I'm not putting in at the, I can't remember where we put in, but it was, I don't think I put in at the boat ramp actually. So I'm hoping that they clean up the river going going north in that direction. There are a lot of fallen branches and debris in the river in some of the places, and so I hope that some of that is cleaned up, making it a very pristine place. I guess if you're a boating person, you can't boat with a big boat going north.
No, you have to go south from that. It's all canned, pretty much. It's all, the Coast Guard canned it, meaning buoy markers, cans, you know. So yeah, it's really nice. It's in that section of Taunton that you leave because it's narrow, and it's kind of like you're nestled into like a little paradise, in my opinion, because we've done it twice, and I want to do it again. It's just so beautiful, and like you said, I mean, the northern part is for canoes, kayaks, and whatnot, because I guess that's where they got the dam there at the bridge. And but that Taunton River goes quite a distance. So I mean, it's really, I think that as a tourism by itself, you know, they could market it better. I think people be flocking all over the place because the beauty of the Taunton River is unbelievable, in my opinion.
Oh, well, and as you point out, it'll bring people to our community. There's an awful lot of growth in the downtown. There are over 100 apartments being constructed in various places, from the old Coyle High School on Summer Street to a small hotel being built over the Ugly Duck in the Weir section. There are new businesses that are opening up, restaurants, the Neighbors Coffee. A house there on Weir Street is a wonderful place to go. What is it called? The Union Straw, where the Liberty and Union restaurant is located, is now under new ownership, and it's called the Union Straw. A wonderful place to go to eat. And then our tried and true restaurant, of course, the El Mariachi there, and our new wine bar, Teresa. So a lot of, with the new apartments coming into the downtown, it revitalizes that area, and it will revitalize the business, increase foot traffic. It's just it's a wonderful thing to behold, I guess.
Yeah, one thing too on the transportation part of it. I know we got South Coast Rail. It was delayed. It was supposed to open in December.
I think we're kind of approaching the 100 days countdown. Kind of.
Okay, so South Coast Rail is going to be ideal, but that's way over on the other side of Taunton, East Taunton, or whatnot. Do you know if Gatra is going to have any shuttle buses running from? Is there any talk about that? Because I know a couple of years ago, I know you had an inauguration with Gatra on their battery buses, and you talked about that. But is there any kind of scheduling that you might know about, any kind of shuttle buses back and forth from the downtown area? Because it seems like the commuter rail, I love the idea of commuter rail, I love the idea, but you still got to hop in your vehicle and drive. So is there going to be if there's going to be a robust bus service back and forth so people can get to Taunton from the train station?
Well, for me, I call us the transportation desert, to tell you the truth. So you remember,
Barry said the same thing.
Transportation in Boston.
Yeah.
We had Bloom Bus had a regular route that went from the Galleria Mall up to the dog track, down 138, and so forth and so on, into Boston. So if you had an appointment or if you worked there or so forth and so on and need to go in, there was regular, dependable transportation. Then along came the pandemic, and Bloom did not resume its service. So DATCO took over that route, and it's a very valuable asset to the community. So it ran from, on the weekends, from UMass Dartmouth to up through New Bedford and into Taunton and beyond to get us all into Boston. And they gave up their route just about a year ago. So the legislators met with the Department of Transportation to say, what's up with that? We need to continue that kind of transportation for our citizens. So it was Rep. Cabral, actually, from New Bedford, that contacted Peter Pan. So the Peter Pan Bus Company was doing a run to the airport, and they agreed at no additional charge to the state to stop here in Taunton at the Galleria Mall, and also to stop at South Station as they did their run into the airport. And they did that for a while. but then the Galleria Mall has been transformed, as you know, and the parking was no longer available. The bus couldn't stop there. And so the transportation from Taunton into Boston stopped several months ago. It now starts in East Bridgewater and goes into Boston. But to your point about transportation to and from transportation is basically non-existent. GATRA, to my understanding, is working very hard to expand its routes. The legislature has, for some reason, has proposed to reduce the money that's in the budget for the RTA across the Commonwealth. So that's going to impact our GATRA service a great deal, I think. So I think that they're working very hard, at the very least, to plan a route that goes from somewhere in Taunton, downtown Taunton, perhaps out to the train when that gets online, so that people can then have transportation into Boston. So I consider it to be a difficult, I don't want to say a mess, but I guess I just did say that.
It's kind of a no-brainer to have a shuttle loop from, the train station, where a lot of the trains you could go in and do a loop around the town, city area, and came back, hit the bus, the bus station that houses all the buses, or wherever the central location is, and head back. They should maybe have that once an hour, because people want to leave their cars at home. I mean, it's just the state spends all this money on train services, but there's no real good way to get to the train station. I mean, I know people have vehicles and they go park and stuff like that, but some people just, maybe they want to let the wife take the car, and then they only have to deal with one car in their family, and it just, I think that's an idea of a lot of people would like to do, but it's just, the whole idea of getting a bus to the train station would be ideal. So, I mean, it's not that hard, so hopefully they do something like that. I was talking to Barry about that a few months ago, and he's pretty much said the same thing about the desert out here.
Well, it's truly, so I happen to serve on the Ways and Means Committee, and each of the executive offices comes and gives a pitch to the Ways and Means Committee about the budget, the upcoming budget, how much money they need, how much more money they would like to have than what's being recommended, and so forth and so on. And at one of those meetings, and it was the Department of Transportation, actually, it was held at Bristol Aggie, come to think of it, and I mentioned what I just said about the transportation desert down here in the southeast. And so subsequently, maybe a month later, someone from the state who was at that meeting was at the second meeting and came up to me and said, you know what you said about that bus? Well, I just want you to know that we're working on it. And really the problem is that there isn't a big enough parking area for people to drive to where that bus is launched, leave their car and get on that bus. So that's really what the state is looking for, is a place that's large enough that can maybe hold 50 or 60 cars. So, we used to do it at the dog track. We used to do it at the Galleria Mall. There are parking lots where big box stores are closed out on the end of 140. I suggested, why not look into that, having the state pay a fee to allow the bus to swing around there, but nothing yet has happened, but I'm eternally optimistic.
Well, I mean, that parking lot at the East Taunton train station is huge. But Joey's giving me a dirty look here. I guess we got to take our ad out.
Yeah, we're going to take a commercial break right now. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have some more with Carol Doherty. We'll talk a little bit about what's coming up for the City Meeting House, what's coming up in the House, and we'll talk a little bit with our other guest as well.
Yeah, we have a doctor in tow here, so
we're going to get him involved too. If there's a question or two you want to ask Carol, we can do that in the next segment as well.
Sure.
We'll also we got some blood drives coming up in the area as well. We're going to talk a little bit about too. So we'll take our first commercial break right now, and we'll come back here on Middleboro in Review on 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. I'm Joey Driscoll. Again, this is WPBF, 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. All right.
Splash Street Auto.
All right.
How you doing this morning, Carol? Good?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm surprised. I thought it was just me and Joey. I'm surprised to have two friends.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, he called me and I brought him in here. But actually, he's my doctor. He's awesome. He's out of Brockton.
I just wanted to see what it was like on a radio show.
Well, yeah. So you're a doctor, a physician doctor?
Yep.
Yeah, he has a practice in Brockton.
Yep.
So
I'm primary care. I just work at the hospital too with Good Samaritan.
So, well, it'd be a good conversation to talk about your view on what's going on with Stewart.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to go there or not, but that's up to you.
Well, I mean, this is something that it's on the minds of people where a hospital president, Heidi Taylor, is reassuring that Morton Hospital is in good shape, but the whole Stewart system, as you well know, isn't in good shape. And
Right.
whether or not we're doing very well, and according to Heidi, as I said, we are, that whole chain, what is it, 9 hospitals, is something's going to happen to it. They're talking about South Coast maybe buying St. Anne's and maybe Morton. Who knows what negotiations are going on. Getting Stewart to get out of this, to present the financial condition of the hospital system here in the Commonwealth. It's just an awful situation.
I know. I think, like you said, it's probably just going to break up and into different places are going to buy the different hospitals. But having Stewart, step aside is probably the best thing for everybody, I think. But
is South Coast associated with Toby Hospital?
South Coast.
They Stewart.
No, they're not Stewart. They're
No.
not Stewart. No.
I had my hernia operation in Toby, and it was they took good care of me there.
It's a very small hospital. It's good hospital though. I mean, Morton's the only big hospital in Taunton, right? There's no other big hospital.
But
So which hospital in Brockton with the Brockton hospital's not reopened yet, is it?
That's correct. No, it's not. From what I understand, it's going to reopen this summer. But the only hospital is Good Samaritan right now that's functioning.
Is that a Stewart product?
That's a Stewart hospital.
That used to be a Catholic?
Yeah, it used to be Caritas Christi Hospital, and Stewart bought it. That's when Stewart was formed. But,
let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah, I think we can talk a little bit about that if you want. We have 20 seconds here. We'll come back from our commercial break. Right about now. All right, here we go. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. And we're back here on Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll, joined by Don today, joined by Dr. Edward Fischero, and also joined by State Representative Carol Doherty. And before we continue our conversation with our guests today, we've got a couple of blood drives to talk about. Beginning of the year, Red Cross announced that there was another national blood shortage. I don't know if they're still in one at this point, Dr. Fischero?
Yes, they are, yeah.
Very important, if you can give blood, to do so. We have a couple of blood drives coming up. Saturday, March 30th at the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints at 547 Manley Street, West Bridgewater, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, that is Saturday, March 30th. And one in April, Tuesday, April the 16th, Church of Our Savior, 60 Union Street in Middleboro, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And also, mentioned this on Thursday, there's some new guidelines when it comes to mad cow disease and giving blood as well, and they've opened up the ability for giving blood to happen with when it comes to that.
Right, that affected a lot of people who couldn't give blood, so it's good that they opened the doors for that.
Yes. Okay. Another thing that's affecting a lot of people in the community is Stewart. Carol, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, and we certainly can all talk about it, especially with the doctor who works in Brockton. So we what is on the minds of people that I bump into from time to time is the fate of Morton Hospital, because it is part of that Stewart system. Stewart ran afoul of its own bad judgment, in my opinion, many months ago, where it was uncovered, if you will, that they weren't paying their bills, that there's machinations going on with the real estate that Stewart owns. We know, for example, my own primary care practice is a Stewart practice. They were in a building that was previously occupied by Taunton Medical PC. That building was sold and moved over. The practice was moved over here in Taunton behind Mammoth Health in that block of buildings. And it was much reduced accommodations, in my opinion. Not as nice, not as airy, not as well cared for. And I just saw that as a downhill, just in that small corner. And then, of course, the whole thing blew up. Dr. Ed, what is it that you see in Brockton? And now, are you in the Stewart Hospital?
Well, let me just, I don't work for Stewart. I'm in private practice, but I'm on staff at the hospitals. I'm on staff at both hospitals. Right now, as you know, Signature Hospital is not functioning. They had a fire and they're in the process of rebuilding. I think from what I understand, they're expected to open by this summer. But last year I was told they were going to open after January, so who knows. But as far as I know, it's set to open this summer, and that's much needed in the Brockton community. I mean, Brockton really is a 2-hospital town, in my opinion, and the Good Samaritan is overwhelmed, I think, since the other hospital has been not functioning, and the crisis at the management level has caused a big problem at the hospital. I'll tell you though, I work there every day. It's still functioning day to day okay. I mean, surgeries are being done, patients are being treated, so that's good. I mean,
and here at Morton Hospital as well, the president of the hospital has reassured the public. We have a legislative meeting quarterly with them where we get updates from both the Stewart people and from the hospital management, and are assuring that as you point out in Brockton, the patients are being cared for, surgeries are going on, and so forth and so on. But I think that probably if management of these hospitals, you're sitting on the edge of if they are sitting on the edges of their seat, wondering when the other shoe is going to fall and what's going to happen. Are the hospitals going to be bought up by other hospital systems,
right?
Mass General or South Coast, any one of those? The 2 hospitals, I think, out in the western part of the state that are really slated to close. And when you read stories about this Tour, I guess, who was started the Stewart Hospital chain, what did they discover? He has 2 yachts and 2 jets, and we haven't started looking at the real estate that he holds as well. And so you can see very clearly that the resources that needed to be put back into the hospital to pay the vendors, to keep a high level of patient care, was gone into his own pocket for his own well-being. So, the federal government is grappling with fraud issues, possibly around healthcare. The state is paying very careful attention to what's going on, but are emphatic about not giving over any money to the Steward chain, because Steward won't open its books entirely to the state so that we can actually see what's going on and make some decisions and determinations about what's going to happen down the road. But it's a worry for the people in the city and for people in the region.
Oh, of course. I mean, Morton is the primary health provider in the Taunton area. And like I said, Brockton is really a 2-hospital town running on 1 hospital. So that I just would hate to see anything disrupt the flow of care.
Especially with, you know, you guys work so hard. I mean, everyone works so hard to get that addition built. And we've done, you know, my father-in-law spent a lot of time in Morton because he's been ill and whatnot for prostate cancer. But I mean, the care there is unsurpassed. It is great. It is so I'm hoping it works. It's kind of disturbing, you know. You kind of, you know, not buying some, you know, whatever, not paying your bills because you got to pay your boat note or whatever.
Yeah, really?
But it seems like the priorities are a little, you know, it's funny that you even know about that. It's just, it's I don't know. It should be in a whole different realm. I guess I don't know. It just seems like everything just falls on top of each other.
Is the government involved in this at all?
Oh yes, there are conversations going on a regular basis. There are monitors that are sent to the hospitals across the Commonwealth to have a more hands-on experience, or a more hands-on look-see, if you will, about what's going on in the hospitals, to make some determination about what's going on. So Steward is a for-profit hospital system.
Right.
And when maternity closed here, you know, maternity closed, pediatrics closed, they spent a lot of money growing a detox center with some, 30 beds or more here at Morton Hospital, and the detox is closed, and those beds are slated to move to Kearney Hospital. And my opinion, as you look at all of that, as we ask the questions, why is this happening, it's because the profit margin wasn't high enough. There wasn't enough business, not enough babies born, not enough children going into the hospital for care, and so the for-profit Steward system closed all of that, and they've done so in other places in the state as well. That was in, like, to me, how many years ago was that? 7 years ago, when the maternity unit was closed. That was the red flag for there's something going on here, something the matter. So the state, I mean, there are rules for closing services. The hospital has to prove that closing services is what they have to do, because there isn't enough of that kind of business flowing forward. They have to give notice. They have to have a community meeting in order to do that. But there's no way in which you can stop a private corporation, a private entity, from conducting its business in the way it feels it needs to. So there's legislation that is filed to put more restrictions on those for-profit entities so that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. And so that's on the pipeline. The governor's office is very much involved, sending letters to the Steward Corporation, and trying to work internally with our, public health department, and with other healthcare, health and human services, to oversee what's happening as they begin to move forward to make some decisions around the hospital system. So,
as far as the maternity part there, why would they eliminate it? Why wouldn't they just scale it down? And, you know, it's just, why would, you know, it seems like when they go ahead and move and stuff, like, it disrupts so much. What's the thinking behind that, you think, Carol?
I'm sorry, say that again.
We were talking about the maternity ward when they just closed it. Why wouldn't they just scale it down to, you know, a smaller situation? I mean, because, you know, people still have babies in Taunton. I mean, it hasn't totally fell off the cliff.
Well, and people who are having babies go to Brockton, or they go to Sturdy, or
right.
Elsewhere, probably hospitals in in Rhode Island as well, carefully planned, but it comes back to the bottom line for the Stewart system.
Right.
Is that service was not making enough money in order to satisfy keeping the maternity unit open. So it was closed. And so the big why is the big why. It is the bottom line. My opinion, the bottom line that they were looking at. And it just wasn't worth their while to keep it open.
Right. No, it's just, you wonder why they just don't scale it down. And then if it gets, and then if it gets bigger again, they have something they're working with. They don't have to start from scratch. That's my thinking, but that's just my thinking.
Well, and one of the biggest concerns for hospitals generally, and the Stewart system particularly, is the overcrowding in the emergency room. There has been a decided uptick in behavioral and mental health issues. And so people who suffer from behavioral or mental health go either taken to the emergency room or go to the emergency room, and there's no bed to send them to, like at Taunton State, for example. There's no room there to send these people who don't. Once it is ruled out, as I understand it, Dr. Ed, you could better say.
No, that's a big problem. Yeah, you're right.
You can once the medical issues are ruled out, somebody comes to the ER. You determine that there is no medical issue, but a mental health issue. Then what happens?
Well, they sit until they're placed. A bed is found somewhere, and that can take days, many days, and that's a big problem. I think that's a national problem.
Oh, and I think I think you're absolutely right, and particularly for children who have mental health issues who come into the ER, there is no place, and so they are boarded in the emergency room for days, as you point out, until they're evaluated, and there is another location found for these patients, whether they are children or adults, so that their mental health issues can be addressed in that way. So it creates a real backlog in the emergency rooms, and I think that this is a universal problem, not just a Massachusetts problem.
Right.
So the healthcare system, generally speaking, my opinion, needs to be reassessed, and we do our best legislatively to create enough noise so that kind of thing happens, provide enough resources to help to support quality patient care, but it's apparently very difficult. Better for people of more knowledge about the system, but it's not, at first blush, not working in the way in which we have expected it to work.
All right, it is 7:58 a.m. I want to thank Carol for calling in today, being our guest.
Thank you, Carol. It was great that you called in.
Real quick, Carol, a couple seconds here. What's going on for Silver City Meeting House over the next couple of weeks? I know Barry mentioned a very interesting show coming up in a couple of weeks.
Well, Barry has invited people from Mass Faith to come and be our guests. I am hoping that, and we have to have this conversation with you, Joey, you're our technician, go across the street to Matthew Mission on the Saturday morning to take a look at what Matthew Mission is doing to help to support food insecure people and families, and to maybe have an opportunity to talk with people about how important our food stations, so our Daily Bread, North Taunton Baptist Church, Matthew Mission, and others are to the people of lesser means in our community. So it's a serious issue. When we are feeding hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people because they don't have the resources in order to do that themselves. So helping to supplement people's access to food is really important.
I think
to do that, yeah.
I think you know, I look at Joey, and he's done a lot for the St. Vincent de Paul in Middleboro in the last 3 years, and we have a representative that comes in every week.
And comes in every month.
You know Chuck. You know Chuck Hart. He knows you. You guys are friends. So I mean, it's good that the whole round here on the pantries and on the food insecurity is being met by personalities like Joey and everybody seems to care, and that makes you feel pretty good, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. People do care. They make huge contributions to these food distribution centers in order to assure that, again, we come back to children and families, in order to assure that the community steps up to help these folks as much as we can possibly do.
Okay, Carol, I want to thank you so much for calling in today. We're going to have you back on maybe sometime during the late summer, maybe after South Coast Rail opens.
And I want to thank Dr. Ed Shiro
yeah,
there.
Ed
What a great,
Shiro as well.
it was great having him here.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Carol. Nice to talk to you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Bye, Joey.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was State Representative Carol Doherty. I want to thank, again, Edward Fischero, Dr. Edward Fischero from Brockton for being here again. We're going to have you on again, too, during the summer.
Yeah, it would be my pleasure.
And you can listen to Silver City Meeting House, too. Maybe call in.
Yeah.
Maybe call in on a Saturday. It's at 9, between 9 and 10 on Saturday with City Council Barry Sanders and Carol Doherty. So, I mean, they've been doing that show for over 15 years now.
Yeah, and
so,
before we go,
That sounds good.
And before we go, I want to give a quick shout out to the Worcester Red Sox. They just hired a new general manager, Brooke Cooper, the first female general manager in Worcester Red Sox history.
2 years.
Well, in team history.
Oh, team history.
Including, and also including Pawtucket.
Oh, okay, right.
Well.
That organization,
yes.
right. No, I get it.
All right, so that'll do it for today's program. Hope everyone enjoyed today's program. We'll be back next week for another edition of Middleboro in Review. We'll have Ezekiel Lewis, school committee member in Middleboro, either calling in or coming into the studio talking with us.
And in 2 weeks we got Chuck Hart back, our resident.
And Pastor Ortez Vandross as well of Brockton.
Oh, is he coming in?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, he texted me this week.
That'd be great to have
both
in the studio. Oh, great. A bit of brush up on your, basketball.
Yeah, and we'll actually that's the weekend of the national championship games.
Nice.
So we'll be talking with him, I'm sure, about basketball. But anyway, hope everyone enjoyed today's program. Coming up next is Pastor Ortez Vandross with Bread of Life. And until Thursday, I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend and a great week. And I will talk to everyone again on the air on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Wow, man, you do a great job. You really do.
Thank you so much.
It's just second nature to you, man. I mean, I can't.
We work good together.
You guys do. You jump right in for each other, you know.
Yeah.
That was fun.
My interviewing skills. Probably can get you on her show if you're interested in coming on Saturday. It's up to you.
I would be honored to do any show for you guys.
I'll mention it to her on Saturday.
She really liked talking to you.
You guys are awesome.
You're smart because you don't open a can of worms. Some people come in here and they open a can of worms.
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of like,
that's why
you gotta feel. You
bring that up.
Well, you gotta feel.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
No, you did not.
I don't want to put
No, you did not. It is April 14th.
Good, we'll throw you in. But hey, Joey.
I'll message you on Facebook, Tom.
I can't believe she's like 8.
In other news,
Bye, everybody.
Kayaking.